All right. Hey, Sean, how's it
Wally,
going?
good. You?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right.
It's been a while.
Yep.
So you ready to catch up on some things?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
It's a long time. I grew up playing soccer, and football was not a thing for me other than I knew some of the BC Lions lived up the street from me. And, basically when I was 19 and I'd quit playing soccer, that's kind of where I started paying more attention and things like that. So for me, it wasn't something that I grew up watching.
Yeah, football wasn't big for me either. I would watch it once in a while, and if BC was in a big game, I would watch it. I remember when Louis hit a game winner, we were watching that, and my buddy smashed a wooden spoon over my head. I'll never forget that. But we used to go to the games whenever we could. My best friend's dad was a big Lions fan, so we would go for a few games a year, but I didn't really know what was going on. I remember Doug and Darren Flutie. I was fans of them. Obviously Louis. But I was a rugby, soccer, baseball, hockey. I played everything but football until later on when basically actually Mike Buono found me playing rugby. So that's when I started really looking into football. I'm like, maybe I should try kicking because I was good at kicking in rugby and thought it could translate, which it ended up doing. But I was right spot, right time when I was found, basically.
Well, if it wasn't for the Surrey Rams, I wouldn't have played professional football because I was a soccer player, and I started with the Rams and came to the Lions, and the rest is a long time ago.
And that's, for me, that was when Wally Buono found me as a rugby guy and said, you should play for the Surrey Rams. So I started playing that, and I had to learn the game, basically. So they had me at different positions just to learn the game. And same thing as Paul, they didn't want me to go through the draft. It was their way of owning my rights too. So for me, it was the big stepping stone to the pros, because I think that, again, me and Paul both did the same thing. We went juniors to pro, avoided the draft and all that, but I think we all went to where we wanted to go anyway. But for me in 07, because Paul was the kicker here, they wanted to back up, but they wanted to develop me. I was not even close to being ready yet. So 07 was a way for me to still play games without missing a year of playing games, because that's the hardest thing. You take a year off from playing, it's tough to get back into it. So Wally's plan was be Paul's backup for as long as he wants to play, basically, and develop. So 07 was a great way for me to play for the Surrey Rams. I just showed up for games and practiced full-time with the BC Lions. So that was a huge help for me playing junior.
Which is the same thing for me. I had to wait till Louis wanted to go, and I got to practice with the Lions, and was playing with the Rams. In 06, the first time I played for Wally, I was a veteran at the time, but still had lots of coaching to give me, and like Sean was saying, it's a bit of a learning experience. He wants to challenge you in different ways, not just kicking, but just the way you're thinking and things like that, and keep you on edge. Some players he would treat a certain way, others differently, because he knew people are different. So, he knew that if you pissed me off, I'd probably play better. So occasionally he would do that. In practice, he would stand right behind me and critique me.
Pick the nose up. Pick the nose up.
Yeah. And we had a pretty good relationship. One time, I did all my contracts, and this one time we were playing in Calgary, and Wally'd always joke around that I wasn't a player, I was a specialist. And so we got off the bus to go get a juice, and the lady in the hotel, she saw me going up to the players' trays, and she said, "Excuse me, sir, this is for the players." And I turned to Wally, goes, "I told you." Right? So anyway, jokingly, then we're negotiating my contract, and he says, "Paul, I can't afford you to pay you. I got money for the players like this." And I says, "Well, that's okay. I'm not a player. I'm a specialist." So we always had a bit of a banter going back and forth. But relationship's good, and he did help me a lot in the end of my career.
Yeah, we're in one meeting, he goes, big players lunch tomorrow for all the players, for all the real players. Whitey, where are you going to be tomorrow? But basically, when he had Paul here, and I knew my role was just to get better, he basically said, he goes, I don't care, you can kick 100-yard field goals, you could have 150-yard punts, you're still not going to start over Paul. So I'm like, okay. And I just knew my role was just to get better. And he just pushed the crap out of me to get better. First, I wasn't even allowed in the dressing room. I had to put my cleats on outside. And then eventually I got a practice jersey, and then I could just go inside the door. And then eventually I got a locker. And it wasn't even my own practice jersey. It was Javi Glatt's extra jersey. So that was great. When he first got me here, he was more like a football dad to me. He wanted me to learn, because again, I'm still learning the game when I got here, and he was hard on me, man. Like, I had to run slot receiver. I was a halfback and inside run, and then kick whenever Paul would let me kick. And then, but whenever he had an opportunity to knock my ego down, he definitely did that. But if I look back at it now, everything he did, the way he taught me and grew me, and it was all for the better. It shaped me as a person and as a man and as a player. Like, I look back at it now and I try to thank him, but forget that. Yeah. But he's an awesome man with a big heart, and that's all he wants to do is help people. He saw something in me, and I still don't know what, but he saw something in me and helped me. And he knows good people. Paul's a good dude. I'm a good dude, and I think he just wanted to help us. When I'm off the field, I feel like I'm a totally different person. I like to do normal stuff, go play golf, and be a normal person. But yeah, I don't feel like I don't think it's changed me. For me, coming home is just for my family, that I at least can share it with them now. I've been gone for so long that I felt very alone, and people don't understand the pressures that we go through. They think it's very easy. Most people don't even think we practice during the week, but it's a lot of pressure in our spot, man. And I've been through a lot of highs and a lot of lows. So I did it all alone. So I'm finally back home with my family, and the biggest thing for me is to see my family at the games. And if I'm a star, that's awesome. But for me, it's my mom and dad is the most important thing, and that they're enjoying the sacrifice. They made a lot of sacrifices in my life and in their life for me to be at this point.
Yeah. It's cool now that, my career's over and I still get recognized, but like Sean's saying, I went away for a long time, and coming back to BC and being able to help the team win and contribute, it makes you feel good, and that you get recognized for, contributing to the team. So as far as being a popular player, maybe we have an advantage of the fact that we're from here. So there's lots of people that know us or know of us through other people and things like that. So it's kind of nice to be recognized. But at the same time, I think, we both know we're just normal people going out there, and very lucky to have still playing and to have played for as long as we have. So it's still special, yeah. When I was playing, I enjoyed giving back to the community. It's the CFL, which is a lot different than a lot of other sports, I feel, where we're so much more accessible. And, little kids, they look up to you and things like that you don't even really realize what they're thinking or feeling. And, there's been a couple of times where I've went out and done some speaking engagements and made an impact in someone's life that I had even no idea, and had a parent come back and say that whatever you said to my son or daughter, thank you very much. So from that perspective, it's really cool. But I'm also I'm not a believer in the whole role model thing. I think that belongs to the parents. I mean, if we're someone special that, they play sports for a living, I think it's really neat and really cool. That's one thing. But, I don't like to look at myself as a role model that way. I think, that belongs to the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same thing with the role model thing. I don't think I'm a role model. I don't think I should be one. But no, I lacked a lot of confidence growing up, to be honest. And now I'm at the career where I want to give back, and I have the confidence to do that. And when I first started out with football, I played for White Rock. We were a good team, but since then, I've played in the States. That's where Wally wanted me to go and learn. And I saw the proper way of getting coached in football. And now I'm back, and we've learned so much playing for so long from some great coaches that now I feel the confidence enough to go and actually coach. So I coached White Rock Titans last year, and it was really awesome to see their buy-in with me. Everything I taught them, they executed it. Every fake play, they executed it, and they bought in. It was really, really cool for me, because I really didn't think they would listen to me at all. But even then, they were like, "Thank you, man. That's awesome. All these kids coming to me. I want to play for White Rock next year," and the numbers are growing. It was really cool. And another thing that he said about just talking to someone, changing their life. In Montreal, a little kid came up to me with his dad, and he's like, "I'm a big fan of yours." I'm like, "Oh, you play football?" He goes, "No." I'm like, "Well, what sport do you play?" He goes, "I don't play sports." And I looked at his dad, and he goes, "I don't want him getting hurt." And I'm like, he's a kid, man. He's built to get hurt. And I'm like, and it teaches you so much in life, overcoming adversities. Like, you got to compete. And when you're an adult, you're going to have to compete for jobs. It teaches you everything you need to know for life after school and all those things. But this kid, I felt so bad for him. So I'm like, you got to let the kid play. If he wants to play sports, let him play sports. that was 2012. And last year I went to Montreal. I was told to go out in the field. These people wanted to say hi. It was that kid now. He's about freaking 7 feet tall. He's going to university to be a PE teacher. And his dad was there, and he goes, "Hey man, just wanted to thank you for everything you did. My dad let me play football. It changed my life. I want to be a PE teacher now." He works for the Alouettes now, and his dad basically broke down crying right in front of me and thanked me. I was like, holy crap. Like, I get chills thinking about that. It was just really weird, because at the time I didn't think it was much. I didn't do anything. I was just having a conversation, but it changed that kid's life forever. Back then, the punting style was also different. I remember coming here from playing university ball. Wally's like, "None of this. I want this. I want more driving." And the timing was better because back then the 5 interior linemen could just go. Now they got to stand back. You got to have that hang time to buy them time to get downfield. So once they introduced that rule, the 5 interior linemen can't move, that's when I get on my wall. My style is out the window now. They're going to want a big American guy to hit it high. So, which I get. I think there's got to be a happy medium. You can't hit it at a 5-second hang time. That's just not going to work either. So I don't know. I like it better because I've always wanted to just be a field goal kicker. I obviously like the money of doing both, but I do find my game is better because I'm focused on just one technique, and I can just really dial that in. Because there are days where I punt my leg out, and I'm just like, and maybe I'm too tired, and my technique might go a little, dwindle away when I start kicking field goals. That's just my belief. I just don't kick tired anymore. And when I just, focus on that one technique, I feel like I'm really getting better and better and better. Still never perfect, but you try to be damn near close.
I think it helps the game when you have one kicker doing one job. But that being said, for me, I enjoyed doing everything because it kept me in the game more. If you get 4 or 6 kicks in a game as a kicker, but if you're punting and you're struggling, you're in the game a lot more. So for me, I started my career doing both, and then at the end of my career, when my leg got a little tired, they brought somebody else in. But it's better for the team to have a specialist in each one because it is such a specialty. And to Sean, what he's saying, the kicking game has changed with the rules, and quite frankly, I don't like them. I think that the older rules was a lot more, you could do a lot more things. It was a lot more exciting. And, now just bashing the ball straight up, it kind of takes away, in my opinion, takes away from the return game that we used to have and be known for with all the return specialists that we've had. I mean, it just, they're good returners nowadays, but I think they would have had a lot more success with the older style rules.
And they changed the rules to make it more exciting, so they thought they'd get more returns, but after that, it hasn't. It's way less.
The dome, when I first came in, I honestly, you could say you had the perfect environment, but that would be for the fans. Kicking in the dome wasn't very good. I mean, the air pressure in there stopped the ball from traveling. If you didn't hit a perfect spiral, the ball was going to go nowhere. So the new dome now, there is I felt, I'm not sure what you felt, but there is one direction where you don't really see the wind, but there is a difference, probably about 4 yards, 5 yards, going one direction over the other. So for me, the best place I like to kick was Calgary because the ball just sails. So I would always joke with the kickers in Calgary when I was playing that they should be all-stars because the ball just sails there.
And they are. And it's true though. Like I can hit 65-yard field goals there right now. It's that big of a difference. But like you said, I remember when I finally got an opportunity to kick in 2009, like I was struggling in the dome because like you say, if you don't hit a good ball, the thing will just like float. It's almost like a balloon, and it was like dead air or something. I don't know I can't explain it. It's what it felt like. But nowadays, it's a little bit better. It's straighter, but there is a wind on the east end. I hit the bar and went in early this year. I hit it, went right, and then came back to the left. I'm like, holy crap, I thought there was a wind, but I didn't actually think it would actually affect the ball, and it did. So, but nowadays I like it. Being older too is nice. It's almost like, say, like I'm an old man retiring in Florida, basically. So it's nice and dry and warm and no wind. Hugh O'Neill did a survey about the stadiums and misses. He did a thing for his university class. So he wanted to figure it all out. And he said, Calgary is the least misses, and BC Place had the most.
Really?
Yeah, that was back in 2018. I think he did that. 2017.
Between the two, or
Every stadium.
had the most?
Calgary had the least amount of misses, and BC had the most.
I would have thought some of the Prairie teams or Hamilton would have.
Well, since their new stadiums, he said.
Oh, the new
Yeah.
the new stadiums. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, Taylor and Ivor Winters.
Well, they're bold. Like the Regina used to be like basically the Prairies is flat, and then just put up some stands, so the wind would come. Whereas now, what they've done is they've dug a hole, and some of the stands actually wrap around the end, and then on one end it's actually completely covered. So you've got some area where the ball doesn't get affected until it gets so high. So
in Sask, they have that one section of stadium where there's like a cutout, but for the most part, it's protected. And there's one part of the field that can get affected. If it's windy enough, it'll really affect the ball. It goes to the left or right hard. So you'll see guys miss all the time going towards the east end zone. And it's got me a couple times too. I hit a perfect ball and it just takes off on you. But like the old, what was that, Mosaic Stadium, or Taylor Field, it was brutal. You know, every time you go there, it's going to be brutal. I don't know how you did it for so long, but that place sucked and it was miserable. And Winnipeg, that was terrible. That was
Winnipeg's, the wind would come in and the wind would swirl. So both ends, depend if you were back in your end zone, you're kicking into the wind. But if you got the ball past halfway, then it made takeoff. It was different.
Well, you told me you played in a game where you had to kick field goals instead of punt.
In Saskatchewan, we're playing, and it was 80 kilometer an hour winds. So when I would catch the ball, I couldn't drop it because it would just go this way. So we would put the ball down for field goals from my 20. And so I think I did have a record until they changed it, but I think I had 11 missed field goals in one game.
So yeah, you don't have to deal with that anymore with the new stadiums. So there's still a little bit of wind, but not as much as it used to be. I'd say Hamilton's the hardest place to kick now. For me, it's just, I'm always going to be nervous. He says he's not, but I'm always nervous. But it's just I've been in that situation. I'm lucky enough that I've failed a few times, and I think you even look at Michael Jordan, he goes, I've missed more game winners than I've made them. So I think I'm the same boat. But thank God I've had another opportunity to play again after that. But I'm nervous, and I want that opportunity, but at the same time you're walking, I'm like, oh my God. You feel it, man. Like the kick that you can make 100% of the time, you look at the uprights and over the big old lineman, those uprights, you feel everything just crumbling down or crushing you. That's what I feel like. But then there's a switch. And I think Paul, I always watched him do it. You got to switch in your mind almost. Once you get into that routine, it's just boom, now it's business. And it kind of goes away. It's like a tunnel vision. You get so focused that everything slows down. And it's the weirdest thing, and I can't explain it, but I think some people get focused, some people crumble, where I think we focus. And it's just, I feel like before I look at film, like I think I was slow, but it's just, I get so much pressure that everything slows down and you become so focused that the snap, hold, kick, everything's like slow motion. And then it's almost the ball's going slow motion, it goes through and everything speeds up again. And it's a crazy out of body experience, which is fun. But and once it goes in, all that adrenaline just comes out of you. It's an unbelievable feeling. But that's what I play for too. Like I love you. It's an addicting feeling. It's scary, but it's fun.
Yeah. I was like Sean, I guess, earlier in my career when I was in Saskatchewan, I used to wake up every game day and look out the window to see how far the trees were bending with the wind. And then after a while, I just got up and I'm like, that's the way it's going to be. And then I would get to the game and my mindset was, I can't miss. I don't want to miss. And then I would miss. So then later in my career, when things went really bad, from then, every time I'd go out, I was like, it can't get any worse. It's just a game. And so I had no more pressure. My kicking got a lot better just with my mindset changing. And that for me was getting out there for the game-winning kick. And there's a story in 11, Wally remembers it, tells a lot of people who remind me about it, which was we were playing against Calgary. My consecutive field goal streak ended, and it was a 53-yarder or 52-yarder going to the east end, and that was about where it was going to be. And I I was walking out on the field to go kick it, and Wally's like, no. And then I just waved him off and I kept walking. And I didn't have any doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to make it. And, I went out there and I hit it. And, that's what we were able to host the Western Final, and we won. That clinched first place. But it was just, at the end of my career, I just had the confidence. Nothing really fazed me, and I didn't really get nervous anymore. It just kind of grew. So
You never got nervous anymore?
Nope.
Wow.
No, I wasn't nervous. No. And it helped me, but I guess it put it in perspective, going out and missing. Well, I've missed one before.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing, I don't think I've ever mentioned it to you, is I had a conversation with Don Matthews in 2001 when I was in the XFL, and Sean Fleming had missed a kick in the playoffs, and I heard he was going to retire, and I asked Don, is he going to retire? And he goes, well, why is he going to do that? And I said, well, he told me because of, what happened. He doesn't know if he can do it anymore. And Don Matthews said to me that, he shouldn't have the arrogance to think that he cost the team to lose, just as if he hit it, it wasn't him that won the game. Because the teams, there's so many plays in the game, like, is there a fumbler, is it interception? There's not one defining play in the game that's going to win it or lose it. So a kick, sure, you're supposed to do your job, but at the end of the day, did somebody fumble the ball? Did somebody, throw an interception or miss a tackle? So I always looked at it, if the offensive team does their job, I don't have a job. So it's an ultimate team sport. So I always looked at it from that perspective, like, I'm trying to do my best, but hey, if I miss, I miss. We've got a similar style, I think. It's kind of, when you would look at them, I guess, kind of methodical, slow, but then explosive to hit the ball. Would that be fair?
Yeah, well, I grew up basically watching you, so. But it's just everyone kind of looks at it when I remember you're kicking, like, he's like, the guy doesn't swing. You're like, what the hell? Like, but you're smooth and effortless. But it's the same thing as golf. We golf, and I think I compare them pretty equal swings. When you think about a golf swing and a football swing, swing easy, swing to one, and keep your head down, follow through. But when you pick up the swing speed and you try to kill it, that's when everything goes crazy. And it bothered me. I'd go to camp. I'd be training all off season, get my swing speed up, trying to get all strong to compete against him. And then he comes in, and I'm like, did you kick at all this off season? No, not really. Played some soccer. And then he goes out and doesn't miss, and just pissed me off so much. But he would swing so easy, he made it look so easy. And then I'm like, I know, and I didn't ever expect him to ever like help me, because it's my job to watch and learn from the best. So that's all I did. I just watched him, and he just had his mentality, and I could see it was he was never gonna miss. Didn't matter how much he practiced that week, he could go in and freaking make them all. And but I had to watch how he did it, which was just swing easy, and that's all you really did. Like they always bugged you about your technique. Lift, Paul. You need lift, and you're cut and you're fading away. But I fade away. But at least that my follow through is going straight through the ball. Then I fade. But no, I watched him, and I think I still do. I do 4 steps back like he did. I just kept it all the same. I haven't really changed anything since I left from practicing with you. So I'd say both of ours is consistent. But I think his confidence is way more than mine. Where I go, and it's just like he said, like, I'm so scared to miss. But I also have a switch that once I'm like, come on, Sean, don't screw this up. And then I think we both had the same trigger. We snap the chin strap on, it's on. And then I turn into a different person. So, and then I make the kick and I snap out and I'm having fun again, joking around. So, but yeah, that's how I approach it. I don't know. Swing easy, head down, follow through. Simple. For me, it was surreal. I've only had one in Edmonton, and that year I was ready to retire. Didn't have the greatest few years in Montreal, just with my surroundings there. It just took the love of the game away from me. And I was in the right spot, right time again. Edmonton picked me up almost right away. We won 12 straight in the Grey Cup. I think I went 96% for the last half of the season. And it just going into Edmonton, people there treated me like gold. I was on a great team, great coaching staff, and brought that love back again. And when we won the Grey Cup, it was just surreal. It was just, did this actually just happen? And then, it happens so fast. You win, you go back, you party with the boys. Now you're on a plane back home and do the parade, and then it's home and it's all gone and over. And then you're like, oh, I won a Grey Cup. And then it's starting to kick in. For me, it was surreal. And I still have my ring, and obviously I keep it on my bed there, but I like to look at it every now and then just to remind myself what happened, because it's just, for me, it happened really fast. I'm so thankful it happened because I never thought I would actually get one. It's a very elusive trophy, and I think if you talk to a lot of guys that have played in the CFL, they don't win. Like guys have played on, I remember back in the day, was it Doug Brown that played for 15 years in Winnipeg? Oh, Milt Stiegel, he never won one? Oh my goodness, it's so tough, and you gotta be at the right spot, right time. So surreal feeling, and it was just awesome, again, to share with my family. That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, 2006 was my first Grey Cup. Saskatchewan let me go, wanted me to go, and came here, and yeah, the team was awesome, a great group of guys, and what I remember the most about that year was the amount of focus, and by the end of it is when I kind of decompressed and felt, that I can relax because of all of the hard practicing, the focusing. I remember our bye week that year, no one left. Nobody went anywhere. Everyone stayed. So, I mean, the first one's always the special one. And that year I kicked 6 field goals in the Grey Cup. I was, as you say, I was unconscious. I just didn't even think about it. I just went out and did my thing. I had a punt, went out on the 2-yard line. I just played really well, helped the team win, and I was just happy for the guys. And then 2011, we started out 0-5, and that year, 0-5, I set the record at the time for consecutive field goals. I won Special Teams Player of the Year and won a Grey Cup. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. But also doing it at home was something. I always remember when Louis won it in '94, wondering what that feeling would be like, and it was pretty cool. And then we got to take the Grey Cup out in the town, and
didn't you leave it on the street?
Yeah, somebody might have left it on the street. And I was the silly one who actually signed it out. So I didn't find out till later, like there's a $50,000, not a bond, but a waiver, like the team has to sign it out. And I put my name, okay, guys, don't worry, I'll take care of it, not knowing. And so I had to stay, I didn't drink. And everyone else was drinking, and I'm like paranoid. I think one of the offensive linemen, can't remember what number he was. I think Singh might have been his last name. I think he dented it, and but yeah, lots of good stories. But winning at home was pretty fun.
I heard it was left outside on the street outside of Shark Club. So guys kind of went out, got in the cab, but left the cup on the sidewalk. Then that took off. So another group of guys came up behind them, and they're like, the hell? The Grey Cup's sitting on the sidewalk. So thank God they were there behind them and picked it up.
It was gravel street. We had 2 limos. The first one I thought had the limo, and they were taking pictures with people. They all got in the thing, and then we started to come up behind. I'm like, stop the car. And I got out and grabbed it. So, yeah.
One of my favorite ones was when you and I were in Shark Club, and I think I asked you, it's like, does anyone ever bother you about that kick? And then we walked outside, and the guy drives by, screw you for missing that kick, Paul. It was so funny. Sorry, I had to say that one. That was just funny. The timing of it was perfect.
Yeah, that happened in Saskatchewan too with Dave and Buck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was.
And did they really maneuver the house to your left?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I missed the time difference between BC and Saskatchewan. I missed the kick, and so basically there's a train of people driving past the house, egging the house, death threats. And then my kids, they had to be shuffled off. And then what happened was, I guess the people who did it, they were driving around and realized they couldn't do anything to the house because my wife at the time and her bosses, their lawyers, are on the front yard. Someone egged the back. So then they backed the truck up because I bought the house off of a guy who did this, his brother. And he knew the neighbor, but he didn't know the neighbor moved. So he thought he was going to go, because they're all drunk, backed up the truck, pulled off a tarp of cow manure, and then got a potato box full of cow manure, put it on the step with a little sign that says, oh, look, we missed left 2, thinking, that's funny to the neighbor that he thought he knew. But then when the wife, she comes around to stop the truck, she goes to grab the driver, and he's in the seatbelt, and he starts driving down the road, dragging her down the street.
What?
So there's lots of things people don't know about this.
Holy.
And then the guy who said he wanted to burn my house down with my kids in it, he drives down the street and then pulls into the house where he had a basement suite, where he rented it. So anyway, so he got charged, lost his job, went to court, guilty. And so there's lots. I mean, I had death threats sent into the club, all sorts of things.
Were there any formal apologies?
Yes and no. The people that put the manure on, so we caught them through a lineup and everything else. So I could either charge them, or I could. You're probably not going to be using this stuff.
No,
Yeah. And so I could choose to charge them, or go through like a mediation type of thing and choose the punishment. So I was working at the gas company, and the guy was, my boss was charge of corporate affairs, public relations. So he goes, why don't we turn this into a good thing for you? Because anything media relations, I would always talk to him. I wouldn't talk to the club. And he said, why don't you, because I said, what do I do? And he says, why don't you do the mediation and then have them donate to your charity on your behalf? So the guy owned a butcher shop, and so he had cattle, and that's where he got all the from. So I made him, there was a huge, big weekend-long event, like a Canada Day event type of thing. So I made him donate all of the hamburgers and hot dogs for free for 2 days with thousands of people. So I don't know how much he had to donate. So they paid him for it and then took all the cash and they donated to Kids Sport on my behalf. And he still does it to this day. Because I wasn't allowed to tell anybody who he was, or like right? Or they knew who he was, but what happened. So he was out there, oh yeah, I'm just helping for charity. So that first, I think he had to do it for 2 years, but then so on and on and on after that, he just continued doing because it was good for his business. So whatever.
Dang.
So yeah, is that it? You're good?
Yeah.